Good evening and welcome to our new edition of RTD's English News. Tonight we have as the headlines: at the 26th session of the Council of Ministers, prominent projects put on the agenda.
Those were the top stories. Thank you for joining us. Under the leadership of the Head of State, His Excellency Ismail Margele, and the 26th session of the Council of Ministers has been held today at the Presidential Palace. Many projects have been examined and provoked by the board. Let's listen to the report of the government spokesman Mahmoud Ali Yusuf.
La présidence du chef de l'État, Son Excellence M. Ismail Margele.
In a world in which the terrorist threat became permanent for decades, our country, like many others, to develop legal instruments are appropriate, able to curb the threat. The recent news, those attacks over Paris, over Tunis and Bamako, will prove that no part of the world is spared. Our country was the theater of attack last years and continues to be trained by terrorists. In this sense, this project aims to equip our country with a legal arsenal to combat effectively and in attain the respect of a standard any threat of nature to put at risk of the security. This draft text is conformity with Article 62 of the Constitution, aims to organize the state of emergency and supervise the exceptional situation in enacting the prerogative the authorities which will be invested. The bill also introduced a parliamentary control of the major implement in this occasion. For the Ministry of Energy, the bill adopts a double objective, that of a hand to align the legislative provision and regulatory framework that govern the activities of research and mining like other African countries, and in particular with regard to the promotion of a private investment or national level, and on the other hand, one providing guarantees broad and sufficient in order to encourage national and foreign investors. This bill brings a clarification of responsibilities and mission of public service in the administration of mining sector and definition of heritage national mineral and the composition. As for the transfer, the present draft order has for objective to put in place a price applicable to benefit for the service of freight forwarders. Indeed, the cost of the benefit of the auxiliaries of maritime transport are considered to be too high in view of a recent development of a port, including the modernization of infrastructure and installation, the increase in the volume of traffic, and the challenges of the regional competition in the maritime activities and harbor. It has become important to attach a grade of tariff adapted according to the service rendered by the auxiliary. The objective of this project is to assure the regulate the activities of the auxiliary to maritime transport from the port of Djibouti, and on the other hand, the capture and retain more customers. This text comes complete the regulatory mechanism of all the profession of auxiliary maritime transport recently adopted by the government. The fourth issue was focused on a draft decree laying down the condition for the support and performance on inherent cause of care. Three conditions are posed for the present decree. In the first time, the insurer must register and obtain its health insurance and care. Then, the insurer must complete with the course of care. The insurer must present themselves in the subdivided structure concerning the modulated and the reimbursing of the cost and care. It is necessary to distinguish the overall repayment made in favor of the structure under contract for the whole of the benefit provided to the insurer and the individual refund made to the insured person having advanced search itself the cost and structure to a non-conversion structure. The five issues was related to the project, which has for objective the approval of a budget estimate for the fiscal years of 2016 The Agency Nationale of Employment Training of Vocational Integration, which is addressed in the Lloyd to more than 275 million francs. This created in December 2007 as a mission to promote the access of young people to qualification required by the markets of the employees by a search of the adequacy of training to employment and to make easier their insertions. This budget in 2016 takes account of current needs of the ANFIP in terms of the operation and of investment. In 2016, the ANFIP is foreseeing the realization of a special project in order to reduce the unemployment. The Council of Ministers has approved the budget for requests for the year 2016 of the CNSS, which is established in product at more than 20 billion francs and release a surplus of more than 4 billion. The revenues forecast shall increase by report of 2015 due mainly to the pursuit of economic growth and its positive effect on the creation of employment. In the framework of the investment strategy, the CNSS account employment in 2016 several projects, including the project Learn to Pass, the achievement of technical studies of the project of the construction of a new hospital, ultra-modern and acquisitions of medical equipment and ARTA and its center of care. The adoption of this estimate budget will help to further improve the coverage of medical and social workers and aims to ensure that all social protection. The 70 issues the board examined by the estimate budget of the Fund of Military Retirement for the exercise of 2016 is a rest in expenditure of more than 1.8 billion francs. The forecast revenues of the budget are experiencing a progression compared to the previous years, firstly the repayment of a social contribution and the significant requirement within the arm. The military body provides for the realization of a scheduling important investment, including the acquisition of a software and the biometric hardware and against fraud to benefit and the load of premises. The eighth question was on a draft budget estimate of National Institute of Public Health of Djibouti for 2016 in a staff in charge of a product for more than 319 million francs. This budget of 2016 is inscribed the continuity of mission of the institution to know the threatening of anti-vector and standby of health in the establishment of a rapid alert system and the detection of a pandemic. The Council of Ministers has then examined a draft order on the approval of 2016 provisional budget of Dr. Shakib Said Hospital, which comes in revenue and expense to more than 375 billion Djibouti francs. This 2016 budget is characterized by the continuing mission of the establishment, including the support of the TB patient of learned disease and respiratory disease, as well as the benefit of ambulatory care.
One of the projects the Council of Ministers has then examined was a draft decree concerning the budget of the central purchasing of drugs and essential equipment. Here is the report made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Let's listen to it.
La huitième question est relative à un projet d'arrêté approuvant et rendant exécutoire le budget prévisionnel 2016.
The 10th question was related to a project which has for objective the approval of the budget for the fiscal year 2016. The central purchasing of drugs and essential equipment, which is stopped in product to more than 617 million francs Djibouti. This 2016 budget of the CAME aims to pursue the objectives including the improvement of the supply of drugs and essential equipment, vaccines among others. The adoption of this budget will allow the CAME to continue to perpetuate the availability but also the quality of medicines and essential equipment at the disposal of the population. The 11th year's question approved during this Council of Ministers concerned a draft order which has for objective the approval of the Provisional Budget 2016 of the Hospital Dar al-Hanan presented in balance in terms of revenue and expenditure to more than 645 million francs Djibouti. This budget 2016 aims to pursue and strengthen the missions of the institution. In 2016, the Hospital Dar al-Hanan provides for the achievement of a number of projects, including the extension and the equipment of the laundry, the establishment of a service of sterilization common center, and the increase of the capacity later. The adoption of this draft budget estimate will allow this health institution to respond to current needs and improve advantages the spur for the health of the population. The Council of Ministers has then looked on the draft decree on the budget estimated for the fiscal year 2016 of the National Reference Center for Reproductive Health, Husseina. This budget is presented in a balance in terms of revenue and expenditure to more than 223 million francs Djibouti. This budget provides for objectives, namely the improvement of the offer in the area of health, of the reproductive, and the strengthening of the means. The 13th issue discussed by the ministers concerned a draft decree relating to the budget of the General Hospital of Peltier for the exercise 2016, presented in projects to more than 1.6 billion Djibouti francs. This budget provides for the continuation of the missions and the achievement of important investments, including the acquisition of new equipment to purchase of drugs and medical supplies, and the improvement of the care of patients, as well as the optimization of the quality care. The adoption of this draft budget estimate will allow this structure to meet the current needs and further improve the support for the health of the population. As for concerning the Ministry of Agriculture, the Water and Fisheries Resources, the forward accounts of the National Office of Water and Sanitation of Djibouti for the fiscal year 2016 are stopped in products to the sum of 4.7 billion Djibouti francs and releases a profit of 208 million Djibouti francs. The budget of the ONEAD provides for an increase of almost 4% of its turnover due to the revival of the real estate sector through the work of new construction and infrastructure development road and ports. The ONEAD will thus continue the important projects on the strengthening of the means of production and the operation, as well as the replacement of equipment already existing. The ONEAD optimized account 2016 the management of its activities by a better recovery of claims in order to control effectively its costs. The draft budget plans to continue the development projects currently underway to know the second phase of the project for the rehabilitation and modernization of the network for the distribution of drinking water, the continuation of the cross-border project water supply, the project for the construction of a desalination plant of the water, and the improvement of the network for water power supply. In the sanitation sector, the ONEAD will start the project of sanitation liquid from the city of Balbala, which will consist of achievement of collections of wastewater, a part of the city of Balbala. Regarding the Ministry of Energy in charge of natural resources, the estimated budget of the electricity of Djibouti for the fiscal year 2016 stops in load to more than 26 billion francs Djibouti. This budget 2016 of the EDD is developed in the context of an increase in the energy produced by our plants and decline in the volume of the imported energy of Ethiopia. In 2016, the ADD account invests more than 10 billion Djibouti francs in several projects to know the completion of the work of the Center of Dispatching to the Palmeraie, the technical study of the second line of the interconnection, the execution of work of the ground Central Japan's, the project of networks of 63 kilovolts creation of network, and the project for the electrification of the railway. These investments are intended to increase the production and to respond to the request. Similarly, in the framework of the diversification of energy resources, the EDD will achieve the construction phase of the wind plant of 6 megawatts, the continuation of the project of communicating, counter and exploitation of geothermal resources of the Lake Assal and Lake Abe, as well as the development of the solar energy in order to reduce energy dependency and to meet the growing demand in the energies of the national economy. The Council of Ministers has then approved a draft decree on the adoption of the Provisional Budget 2016 of the Fund of Housing. The estimated budget 2016 of a housing fund is topped in projects to more than 2 billion Djibouti francs and releases a result in excess of 1.6 billion Djibouti francs. The budget of the fund is developed in the framework of a policy of intensification for the construction of decent affordable housing. The fund has the ultimate objective to enable low-income populations have access to decent housing and has a mission to servicing of land to affordable costs, the promotion of mechanism of self-construction, and the establishment of producers which facilitate access to the land security. During the fiscal year 2016, the fund provides for the construction of 2,500 social housing and the construction of 500 housing units for the teachers at the MEMFOB. On the other hand, in the framework of restructuring the precarious housing, the fund will intensify its efforts to help the affected households to rebuild their homes and will also draft the program of self-construction for the benefit of 300 households with low income through the mechanism of release to the provision of construction materials in the form of a credit in the sector of South Balbala. The 70th question was on the appointment of Mrs. Rana Osman Omar as Secretary General of the Ministry Delegate to the Department of the Economy and Finances, in charge of trade and small businesses and medium businesses, crafts, tourism, and their formalization. A project decree is nominating at the Health Ministry Mohammed Ali Hamad, General Director of Balbala Hospital, Asoba Abdullah Asobe as the Healthcare Regional Director, Ahmed Hamad Mohammed as Technical Advisor of the Minister in charge of the Arab World, and Makko Mahmoud Ali as Technical Advisor of the Health Ministers. In communication, the Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Muhammad Ahmed, has made a report concerning his visit in Turkey from the 7th to the 10th of December. The Minister of Housing and Urbanism and the Environment, Mohammed Musi Ibrahim Balala, has made a report for his participation to the conference in the Convention of the United Nations on Climate Change, which was held on the November 30 to the December 11 in Paris.
The National Assembly, in partnership with the Foundation for Capacity Building in Africa, has organized a debate workshop on the communication and interaction between parliamentarians and the elected representative of the Regional Council. This workshop is chaired by the President of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamad. Were present at this workshop, which will last for 2 days, the various presidents of the Regional Council, the coordinator of the United Nations, Valerie Khalif, as well as parliamentarians. The objective of this workshop was to strengthen the ties between the various local and national elected. The Abok Regional Council President Hamad Ali Hassan said in his intervention that the two institutions are defending the same cause, which is the progress and the promotion of our people. He stated that the two institutions has the same burden, that on being a direct link between the people and the government for as much the means and on the research. The representative of the UNDP has estimated that the mechanism of which will be put in place between the two parties will help promote a better coordination and a better dialogue and exchange of information and ideas between the elect, who will continue more with the spirit and objective of the parliamentary caravans.
In his speech, the President of the Assembly has explained the aim of this workshop, which, according to him, is very important, and which deals with a dialogue between local and national elected to reflect on the ways to strengthen the cooperation between the two types of the decision makers. The chairman of the Assembly said that the local democracy has profoundly transformed the practice in the interior region, and it's part of the government's policy which works to strengthen decentralization. He added, "We are all aware that our democracy needs the regions, and we, the parliamentarians, are well placed to say that we organize every year the parliamentary caravan that travels through the interior region and meet the most deprived population. Therefore," he said, "I know that you initiated the consultation procedures to better know the interests of the population, and I see this meeting as a whole privileged moment that we will deal many subjects in order to better serve our voters," has concluded the President of the Assembly.
The President of the Assembly, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Hamad, has received today in his office a delegation of a Japanese parliamentary. The parliamentarian Japanese delegation was led by Mr. Azakio Mira and Mr. Deishio Yamajuwa. This visit is to strengthen the friendship ties between the Djiboutian and Japanese parliamentarians. The ambassador of Djibouti in Japan, Mr. Ahmed Areta Ali, and the ambassador of Japan in Djibouti, Tatsuo Arey, the first vice president of the National Assembly, Mr. Elmi Absi Wais, were present at this meeting.
The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Dr. Jama Al-Mouki, has continued his tour in the regions after Dikil. The minister visited yesterday Arta region. The minister has been warmly welcomed by the leaders of the region and by the teachers in the region. Indeed, 250 teachers in the region of Arta have taken part at the side of the minister and his officials to this lunch offered by the Menfob at the Hotel School of Arta. The objective being to allow a moment of friendship and meeting between the members of the great family of education. During this lunch, one of the teachers in the region of Arta has warmly thanked the minister for all the achievement he made for the teachers since his appointments to the head of this department, and to have made possible this space of conviviality and sharing between teachers, but also between responsibles and the teachers.
In his speech, the Minister of Education and Vocational Training, Dr. Jama Al-Mouki, has talked about this land, which he said is attract the attention of a teacher on the role and vision of the latter to be maintenance of peace and national harmony, which are dear to the nation. Education remains one of the keys to the development of the culture of peace, of living together, and the love of the homeland, he said. The minister has recalled that education remains for the head of the state, His Excellency Ismail Margele, a priority, and that the status of the teacher has ceases to evolve. Finally, he has promised that the teacher that he will ensure during his mandate at the head of the department to continue the improvement of living condition of a teacher and other educational personnel, including access of housing.
The first AMISOM conference on the role of women against extremism has been opened this morning in the conference room of the Kambeski Palace Hotel. The conference was jointly organized by the Private Sector Division PSD and AMISOM with the support of the Office of the Special Envoy for the Women, Peace and Security, as well as the Ministry for the Advancement of Women. Several personalities have participated in this conference, in particular the Somali Minister of Defense, Mr. Muhammad Haga, Delegate Minister for the Promotion of Women and the Human Rights in Somalia, Mrs. Mumina Sheikh, and the Director for Gender Promotion at the Ministry for the Advancement of Women, Mrs. Shukri Hussein. Local international NGOs, women leaders, and key stakeholders at national, regional, and international level have taken part in this conference. This conference will in particular address the issues related to the role of women in the fight against violent extremism, as well as to combat the speech violent extremism in their family and their community, strengthen the collaboration with civil society, including women's organizations. It has for an objective to promote the participation and leadership of the women in the security sector, as well as to strengthen their technical skills in order to contribute to the peace and security of their country. This conference has been funded by the Gender, Peace and Security of the Peace and Security Department of the African Union. In her opening remarks, the Director of Gender Promotion, Mrs. Shukri Hussein, said that she was very proud to participate in this conference on the role of the women for the consolidation of peace and the strengthening of constructive objective of the state.
A ceremony for the purpose of discussing and convention signature on the preparatory study concerning the project for the improvement of equipment of road management between the Japanese International Cooperation Agency and the Agency of Djibouti of Road has held this morning at the Ministry of Equipment and Transport. This study report was to explain a provisional preparatory prepared by JICA to Djibouti. The main objective of this meeting between the Djiboutian part, represented by Director General of the Agency of Djibouti of Road, Mr. Mahmoud Musa Ahmed, and JICA, represented by Mr. Hiroki, was about the implementation of the road project on the equipment in the management. The Director of Bilateral Relations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Yassin Hussein Douali, as well as the Secretary General of the Ministry of Equipment and Transport, Saeed Nur Hassan, has a title on the witness at the signing of an agreement between the two parties were also present at the signing of this agreement.
Still in the national news, in the framework of the cooperation between the Gendarmerie of Djibouti and that of Turkey, the General of the Army Corps, Galib Mendi, commander of the Turkish Gendarme, has sent a delegation of senior officials led by Brigadier General Adnan Arslan, and including 2 Turkish senior officers, to assess the evolution of the relations of cooperation between the 2 Turkish Gendarme and the Gendarmerie of Djibouti. This delegation, which arrived yesterday, has planned to stay in Djibouti until Thursday to carry out its mission. It is in the context Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, head of staff of the National Gendarmerie, has received the delegation his headquarters. In this reception, Mr. Sadi Altinouk, ambassador of Turkey to Djibouti, was also present, as well as several senior officers of the Djibouti Gendarmerie. Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden and its hosts have discussed at length the excellence of the existing cooperation between the 2 institutions and the prospect for the strengthening of these strong links. For this occasion, a presentation of the Gendarmerie has been exposed to the head of the delegation, followed by dynamic demos of intervention group of the National Gendarmerie and the grouping of the Gendarmerie Mobile.
The National Social Security Fund is celebrating from 15 to 21 December the first anniversary of the health insurance, and to mark the event, the CNSS organized activities to inform and sensitize the population on this regime that aims to offer a medical coverage for all. Then, this first day, the stand of information have been installed in the health care center in the CNSS, but also at the University of Djibouti. The patients were many this morning to inform on issues that they were and were until then. It should be noted that it is indeed a year ago that the head of state, Ismail Margele, has launched the system of a universal health insurance, which must allow all categories of a population to benefit from health coverage. It is a contributory system based on the principle of a social protection, where the person will contribute according to its revenue and receive according to its needs. And both was established in the Center of Care 1 and 2 of the capital to educate and inform the population of Djibouti on the various care that offer the CNSS.
In the framework of the National Week of the Universal Health Insurance, the RTD has prepared a report that highlights all the care offered by the National Social Security Fund in the various care centers of the capital. Let's see with more details.
We are in the middle of fibroscopy sessions with gastroenterology medical specialist in the CNSS Healthcare Center block. With this joystick, the doctor is checking a tube with a tiny camera he inputs in the mouth of the patient for various diagnostics affecting the stomach. There are only 3 fibroscopy devices in the country. We use this technology to diagnose tumor gastrointestinal hemorrhages. These are diagnoses requested by the Djiboutians who have gastrointestinal diseases. That is why we receive them after having been diagnosed by a general physician. Every day we receive 20 patient fibroscopy session and consultation. Another medical practice not well known that we practice is in our center is kinesiotherapy. Is a therapeutic treatment of disease by passive and active muscular movements. The major part of the kine look like gymnastic room equipped with mechanical device and re-education tools for steering up the patient. This man has been hit by cardiovascular accident 10 years ago. Before I come here, my left side has been completely paralyzed. After a re-education session, I got better and now I can now walk. I can now have the ability to walk again. I'm capable of walking. Dental treatments, ophthalmology, biology, echography, and so on. The center is expanding and of different and wide specialties. We are expanding by creating different specialties that did not exist a couple of years ago, such as onjectrology. We also have gastrologists. There are only 2 in the country. We're hoping to hire other ones. In addition, the healthcare delivery of the first center has a drugstore, medicines and treatments for chronic diseases. Around 50 persons attain of heart disease and diabetes come regularly for their medicine. I come to this center to get my treatments every 2 weeks freely. The expensive medicines of the markets for heart diseases is what Hamad Ali Hassan is explaining. The Plavix is for people attained of heart disease and it costs 19,000. The Corprovel is around 6 to 7,000. In average, 400 persons are healed each day in this first center. Since 3 years now, it is operational even in the afternoons. A new building will be inaugurated in the coming week to offer a wide range medical of quality for everyone.
The Executive Committee of the Somali PAN has held on this morning at their headquarters a meeting under the leadership of the President of the Somali PAN, Abdullah Haji, and Director of Culture within the Department of Waqf and Culture, Osman Buha. The agenda of this meeting of the Executive Committee of Somali PAN was, between other, the fixing on a date for the future meeting, the strengthening of the activity of the different branches of Somali PAN at the international level, and finally the preparation or the establishment of the future plan of action and 4 years and the prosper 4 years 2016. It was also raised during this meeting the action plan which has been just complete, such as the organization of 40th anniversary in the Somali language, the creation on the Somali language, and the addition of a dictionary reinforcing the learning of Somali language. That's all for this edition. Thank you for your attention and have a wonderful evening.